I'm saying, so who do you ask about these things?
I don't. That's the problem. I don't know who to ask. For the Shchita KJ, I'll ask Franklin when I go upstate. I imagine he's in on the situation. Probably. So maybe I don't think I'll have an update for you tomorrow night, but maybe after Shabbos.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
Does he ship?
That's a productive Shabbos.
I'm not walking there. I'm not walking there.
Simon, that's not a question for now. That's in your own time.
I'll get out of here. What does Rabbi Franklin ship? Do you know?
I don't know. I have no idea. But what do you call it? I'm very makbid on the shitas that hold you're not supposed to walk on Shabbos too much. All right, so I'm not walking over there on Shabbos. Okay. Anyway.
Yaakov, you're very makbid on not walking uphill also.
Correct. Okay, Zogdi Gemara, right? On Kuf Lamed Zayin on the base on the bottom. There's actually a lot of halacha l'maisa tonight since Yisroel Marchuk. I don't know. He's here, right? You were here, right? Yeah, he was here.
He's here.
So yeah, there's some important stuff tonight in the daf. Right. Yesterday we basically discussed. Weiter the bris, what's ma'akiv on the skin on the milah. We also did the brachas of the milah, and then we started with Rabbi Eliezer with hanging. What do you call it? Not a sifter. What was the name? What would you call it?
Strainer.
Strainer. Thank you. A strainer over. It was really for wine, but I mean the practical application of it is coffee, which we'll see tomorrow or the next day. Bez Hashem, the more practical of it. But so we discussed that. We discussed oil rice. Then we continue. Right. So yiboilu re'er shayla. Yeah. Tola mai. What happens if you did? Right. The Chacham say you're not allowed to hang your Rivka. Sorry. Tola mai. Are you allowed to hang? Or not? If you did hang it again, Rabbi Eliezer said you're allowed to hang it on Yom Tov. You're not allowed to hang it on Shabbos, meaning not the sifter.
Strainer.
Strainer. Okay, I'm sorry. The strainer. It's been a long day today. The strainer. The Rabbi Chacham said you're not allowed to hang the strainer even on Yom Tov. You're not allowed to hang the strainer. You're not allowed to use it on Shabbos, even if it was pre-hung, and you're not even allowed to hang it on Yom Tov. So iboilu re'er shayla tolamai. If you did hang it, what's the din? So now there's a shayla in the paiskim. If the tolamai is going on Yom Tov, or it's going on Shabbos, or both. Yeah, but whatever it is, either way, if you do it Shabbos or Yom Tov, you hung it on mai. So Amar Yosef tola chayav chatas. Yosef said you chayav chatas. Mamash and issur derabanan to hang the strainer over the pot. Amar Abaya lemiata tola kuza besichsa hochanamid mechayev. If you're gonna hang a small, a tola kuza, as Rashi says, is a small kli, the sifsa on a peg, right? You want to hang something on a peg. Does you also chayav? Ella, right? So that you're not gonna be chayav for that, right? Let's say you hang up your hat on a what do you call it? On a peg. So you're gonna be chayav for that? No, nobody's gonna say that you're chayav for that. So it's not a deraisa, it's a derabanan. Oh, Simon, that line is right there. That's for you. It's a derabanan to hang the strainer, right? Because you shouldn't do it the way you do it in the chol. That's a weekday activity. Okay, that's mamish. That line right there is half of what we do in Hilchos Shabbos is based on that line in the Gemara.
What does that mean?
That's the shaila. What does that mean?
Okay.
Right? Rashi says it's uvda dechol. It's something that you do in the weekday, right?
What does that mean?
So I don't know. I can't. I wish I had an answer.
Can't wear pants on Shabbos?
Right? It's mamish. It seems like it's a random thing. What they allow, what they don't allow. Right? What's the classic thing? What's a classic not Shabbos dick? What about riding a bike? What about kids riding bikes?
Scooters, basketball,
rollerblades. Right, look at the Taisus, the top Taisus says, what do you say?
Because you might come, it's a gather, because you might come to do something. You might come to do an issur, deraisa.
Well, what issur are you going to do if you're riding a bike?
Mixed dancing.
What do you mean? What are you going to do? You come carry 4 ounces of shusarabim. You're going to come. We don't
Fix the chain.
We're
Fix the chain is a new gezerah. Nobody ever made that gezerah. Although I think the Chutshani says that.
Why isn't fixing the chain a tikkun money?
It is, but who says you're making a gezerah? Who that
Oh.
made that gezerah? And
No, you asked which malach you're going to come to do. I said fix the chain.
Saying who says that's not from Dini from Chazal. Right, look at the Taisus.
Right.
It's a kedai Taisus to look at. Right? How come they didn't make an issur derabanan to hang up this bag on the wall? Maybe that's also not a weekday activity. Rabbanan, that's sort of like what you're asking. Like, why not assur that too? Right, but they didn't assur that. So, the tala kuza b'sisa filu issur derabanan leka. B'milu derabanan shayach shaper l'chalik. By things that are derabanan, you can make a chilik. Aval even mishmeres midaraisa also ain't shayach l'chalik. But if you're going to say that a mishmeres has some shaychus to a daraisa, then you can't start being mechalik. I'm not exactly sure what Tais is saying, but it seems like things that are closer to issur daraisa, that's when they started with the not Shabbos stick. But if it's not closer to a daraisa, then they didn't. Which I'm not exactly sure. What that means. Right? But,
that's how you understand Taisus?
I don't know how to understand Taisus. To be honest with you, that's my.
I thought he was just saying that in a gezerah derabanan, you can be the derabanan could be mechalik. In a deraisa, if something's a deraisa, then if the
but there's no
deraisa, then talakuza is just as bad.
But what is the issur deraisa of hanging the thing? We just said it's not a deraisa.
There isn't. That's the point. But if there was an issur deraisa
no,
hanging
not
the mishmeres.
No, but we said mishmeres is also not a deraisa.
Yeah, because if it was a deraisa, then talakuza would have to be a deraisa.
Because you're going to come to actually strain the wine.
That doesn't make it a deraisa. That's a derabanan. If hanging a mishmeres was an issur deraisa, talakuza would have to be an issur deraisa. Elamai, neither of them are an issur deraisa. So now for Taisus, if it's an issur derabanan, why is it any different? So talakuza should also be an issur derabanan, and it's not. Elamai, you can make
how are you getting hanging the strainer to an issur deraisa?
It's not. It can't be an issur deraisa.
Right? So then why
because
can't
talakuza is not an issur. Amen. I'm not understanding something here.
You're muted, Rabbanan. You're muted.
So maybe Rabbi Yaakov can't drink seltzer on Shabbos because he's going to finish the seltzer, and he's going to call up Costco right away to send over a case of seltzer, same day delivery. He finished the He finished the seltzer on his and he has 20 people coming for Sholashida, so he's going to order seltzer on Shabbos. So you can't drink seltzer.
Hold on. That's my point.
Go ahead.
That's my point. I'm trying to say, the chiluk, Tais is trying to say that when the Rabbanon made chilukim, it's not in the Maisa itself. In a deraisa, if the Maisa is an issur deraisa, then a similar Maisa is also an issur deraisa.
So deraisa to go to Costco, it's a deraisa to start.
So what are you saying? Because it's you're saying
no,
because it's the Rabbanons, and then they could just decide to say things?
Then the chilukim are different. The chiluk doesn't have to be in the Maisa. The Maisa could be the exact same Maisa. The chiluk is in something else. Lani is daiti, I would say that the chiluk the Rabbanon are making there are some things that are life things, and there's some things that are weekday things. Lamashal, clothing. If I would wear the same clothing as I wear on a regular Tuesday morning to a chasan that Tuesday night, then maybe the Rabbanon wouldn't have said there's such a thing as clothing for Shabbos. That's a life thing. You wear the same clothing for everything. Right? There's hanging a hat on a hook is a life thing. Whatever you wear a hat, you hang it on the hook. That's nothing. That's not a weekday thing.
So according to what you're saying, which I've mentioned to Yaakov a long time ago, you can't wear gym clothes as pajamas on Shabbos.
Maybe not.
Yeah,
because they go out and play basketball.
Could be.
Maybe taka. It's machlekes what the Mishnah Berurah means. The Mishnah Berurah says that to wear an under shirt, whatever that means, a chaluk hatachton, you have to have a separate one for Shabbos. So Shaila, if that means an undershirt or something else, but if it means an undershirt, you're right. You have to have separate Shabbos pajamas.
Yeah, okay, I don't know. Okay, whatever it is. Okay, let's go back to. But I hear what you're saying. It's still very vague. That's the problem. It's very vague. But I hear.
So Yaakov, they bring down on the bottom, there's a machlekes rishonim, if the issur here of the dechol is out, it's going to come to get you to do another malacha, or because it in and of itself resembles a malacha?
Yeah, that's like you, David. Right?
They say Rashi seems to imply because it's going to bring you to another type of malacha. It's almost like a get there to some degree, and the other one is just because it in and of itself resembles a malacha. Vaguely.
I hear. Okay, I hear. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so let's see weiter. Now this is probably one of the more practical 5 lines of Gemara you'll ever have. So Mankir Abaya, Chumri Masnisi Vitani. Abaya, he gathered together a bunch of similar limudim and he taught them. Yeah, Hagud. Yeah, a good is a bag, right? And it's some sort of wide bag. They fill it up with wine and chalav, Rashi says. And they like leave it open so that the cold air will get in there and then it'll keep it fresh. Mishperes and a strainer, that's what we're talking about. Kila is a kila is like a canopy, right? Canopy bed. The kise galin and a chair from the city of Galin, right? So it's a chair that's made out of pieces. Lo yasa, you shouldn't do any of these things. Vim also potter, aval also. But if you did do it, it's potter. If you're gonna do it, then right, it's potter, but it's also to do it. You can't make these things. But ole keva lo yasa, meaning those are all things that are not permanent. Right, so therefore you're not supposed to do it. But if you do it, it's also midrabanan. Ole keva, if you make a set tent. Lo yasa, right? If you actually set up a tent, you can't do it. You're also chayav chatas, and if you did do it, you're chayav chatas. Avol mitiv akisa traskol va'aslo, but a bed and a chair, and a traskol is 1 second. Mita is a bed, kise is a chair, right? Or traskol va'aslo, right? As a traskol va'aslo is like some sort of folding toilet seat, right? That's basically what it comes out. Like a portable toilet seat, whatever it is, that's muttar and chasan l'chatchila. That it's muttar to put it. It's muttar to use those l'chatchila, right? Why? Because they're meant to do that, right? That since it's meant for you to do that, therefore it's okay, right? That's why opening up a folding chair, opening up a folding table, using a pack and play, all these type of things, those are muttar on Shabbos l'chatchila because that's the way it's meant. That is the way it's meant. That's the way you use it. So these last 3 categories is not the last category, the last 3 cases. That's the way it's meant to be, even though seemingly it looks like you're building, right? So then it's not a problem. Well, we'll get back to Rashi on Amud base. What?
Rashi learns kisei trasko is a folding chair.
What? Yeah, that's what it's.
Kisei trasko, he learns together.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Correct. That's the way. Yeah. That's the way we touched it. That it's a piece of traskol. It's one folding like toilet or whatever. It's a hollow seat that can act as a toilet. Yeah. Very nice in the tluya b'Shabbos, and you're not allowed to put food into this. You're not allowed to put the wine into this hanging strainer. Right. Iboilu shimer mai. Right. So what's with shimer? Yeah. Right. Well, let's say you did. Right? Hold on. Yeah. Why? Every kid comes every few minutes to put on a device so that they got something to do that I'm not any device that I'm not using. So I gotta always be doing passwords. So, anyways, I'm sorry about that. Shimer, let's say you did. Meaning we just got finished saying if you hung it, what's the day? And so here we're saying let's say you actually used the strainer on Shabbos. So what's the story? If you do use it, then you're chayav chatas. If you strain the wine in there, you're chayav chatas. Is it possible that we could have something that the Rabbanan say it's also midaraisa, you're chayav chatas, and Rabbi Elazar says it's muttar lechatchila? Maskal Rav Yosef, alama loy. Why can't you have this? I hope this next Gemara brings back some memories from almost like 80 blot ago. No, 80 blot ago. 70 blot ago. Hare Ir Shalzov, right? You have a city of gold, right? What some women wear on their, what?
Daf nun test.
Yeah. So if you have a city of gold, the Rameir Mechayev Chatas, Rebbe Lezer Shari L'Chatchila. There you have it. That Rameir's Chayev Chatas, Rebbe Lezer's Matir L'Chatchila. What is it? The Tanya L'Setz Isha Be'ir Shel Zav. A woman should not go out with this fancy type of thing, right? And if she goes out, she's chayav chatas. The Rameir Chachamim lo say she shouldn't go out. If she does go out, she's patur. Rebbe Lezer says she can go out with an ir shel zav lechatchila. So what do you see? You see clearly Rebbe Lezer says that you can go out with it lechatchila, and Rameir holds it's an assur. It's also midaraisa. So why can't you have such a machlokes so distant from each other, right? So I'm like about me. So is Rabbi Elazar Rameir. Who says Rabbi Elazar is having a machlokes with Rameir? The Amar chayav is chatas that Meir holds chayav chatas. The Rabbanon koi. He's going against the Rabbanon. Damri potter avalasser. V'amar lahu ihu muttar lechatchila. Right. So again, there was three-way machlokes. So we wanted to compare Rameir, the most strict, to Rabbi Elazar, the most makel. But there's a middle shita there. So who said that Rabbi Elazar is taking on Rameir? He's not taking on Rameir. He's taking on the Chachamim. So therefore, it's not such a far difference, right? Okay. So now the Gemara continues.
Ultimately, though, you have one that says chayav and one that says muttar.
Correct. Yes. I know. I that's bothering me. That Lemaisa. It seems like that's not. I think the issue is not shot that there are different shitas that vary so much. I think it's that they're taking on each other, that they shouldn't. For some reason, if they're fighting with each other, they're having a machlokes with each other, that's already too much. I don't know why that should make a difference, but it seems like that's the difference.
It seems like the kasha and teretz is in Rebbe Eliezer personally. And the answer is that Rebbe Eliezer is not arguing.
That's a good point, but also why would that make a difference?
I don't know. It could be some tanoim that will Beisel Beis Shammai sometimes say muttar and assur. You know.
I hear that, or I hear. Okay, so let's see. Why do you give hasra for? Meaning, what's wrong if you filter out this wine through the strainer? Rava Mishum Bayra. Rava says it's Bayra, right? So that's derabanan. Bayra. One of the lametas melachas. So Zayram not Bayra Mishum Merake. It's because of sifting. Right? One says Bayra, one says sifting. Now what exactly the difference is between Bayra and sifting is already itself is a little bit vague. So Amar Rabba Kapasei Didi Mistavra. Rabba says it seems more like me. What do you do with Bayra? You take the good and you leave the bad. Here too, you take the oichel and you leave the psilas, right? Basically, you're taking. This is also not so clear. What you're taking how are you taking the oichel here? The oichel is going through the sifter, right? Meaning the reason I think the pshat is that the reason when it's going through the sifter, then you're going to take the bottom cup out of there, and you're taking the good away from the bad. That's the way he looks at it. No, it's like me that says sifting. When you use a sifter, the junk stays on top in the strainer, and the food goes to the bottom. Here too, the psilas is on top, and the food stays on the bottom. Yeah. So Tony Rami by Yecheskel.
Yaakov, isn't Merakid the klal to the gather Burr? Meaning, what's Rabbi saying? It's clearly more medumeh to Merakid.
Yeah, but it's but it's just not.
Meaning, even Merakid, you take the oichel and you leave the psilas at some point. That's the idea of it,
right?
So it clearly is more distinctive. Its distinctive features resemble Merakid more than Bayra.
Yes, that's what I would think, because Merakid you're using a sifter, right here also.
And Rashi even says that if you gave him assur, according to Rabbi, if you gave him assur out to Merakid, it would be klal assur. So then what's his taina? Why are you saying it's Bayra?
Yeah.
He means af mishum boirer, not just mishum boirer.
Why is it Bayer though? According to
For the
Abaya,
reason he
it wouldn't be a
gives.
good assur. But that's not a
Why do
reason.
you have to come
Moroccan
on?
always
He
has
was
that.
asking, why do you have to come on to Bayer? What's the matter with just Meraki?
No, why should it
Nothing.
be
According to
Bayer?
Rabba, Merakin is good also.
True.
So
but
then,
what
according
is
to
he-
Rabba,
what is he-
then you never need
No,
Moroccan.
Akiva, the truth is what he's saying, what Gershon is saying, I hear, is that if the guy doesn't know what he's talking about, he says, hey, you're doing Bayer. Is the guy going to be chayav now because
I would
he
say
had
not.
a proper warning?
I would say not.
No, but
Then
Rabba's
what's the
saying
point
yes.
of saying Moroccan? He's
Rabba's
basically
saying
saying
yes.
there's nothing distinctive about Moroccan.
Yeah.
Rabba is saying there's
If they
nothing
decide
distinctive
to
about
have a
Moroccan.
lomda shemachloikas, when he gives him assur and he decides to have a lomda shemachloikas, is probably over.
Rambam, there's a citation here from Daf Yomi that says the Rambam says he's chayav either way apparently.
That's according. It's according to Reb Zera.
Yeah.
That's Reb Zera's shita. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's go weiter. Yeah. Fine. No. Yeah. Meaning he's saying kavasei didi is mashma, right? That he's fighting him like it's mashma like me. It's like me boirer and not merake, right? Because he's saying what kavasei
No,
didi.
Rashi says not like that.
I know that, but it's like, why are you saying if it's both? So why is he fighting him? See?
What do you mean? He's giving an extra hasra. You could be master either mishum merakin or mishum boirer.
No, but say when that part of that, right?
Because as long as there is a similarity I can compare it to, I can be master mishum that also.
Fair enough. Okay, fair enough. Okay, let's see about it. Tony Rami Cheskel, talis kfula. Yeah, another interesting case. A talis kfula, folded up talis liyasa. You shouldn't do it. B'masa potter aval asa. But if you did do it, you potter aval asa. Now, if you still read this Gemara, I would think he's talking about folding talesim, right? But that's clearly not what it's talking about. Right? So you need Rashi. Rashi says basically what you're doing is you're taking your talis, putting it over four, not beams, what do you call it? It's posts, 4 posts, and you're spreading out the talis. You make yourself a little tent. Like kids do. Kids like to play like that. They like to make themselves a little tent. All right, so by spreading a talis out and doing that, then you shouldn't do that because it's an oil arai. But if you did it, you potter avalasa. But if one edge of the talis, let's say there was a string hanging out from one end of the talis, and that was already tied around one of the posts, then you're allowed to do it. You're allowed to do it lichatchila. Right? Yeah.
What about the Torah?
What? Oh, what about Simchas Torah? So what do you say with that?
Well, by Kolanarim, by all of the 3 aliyahs.
Right. So there, and a chanami, if you there were holding it, we're going to get to this more on the base. There you're holding it. You're right. If you would put it, let's say, on the bima. Let's say the bima had like those old shuls had these big posts.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And you would do it on when you do it on there. So then and a chanami, that would be a problem.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, why is it that if one edge of it is tied on that it's okay to do? Because that's moisef ala oil. The oil was already started, and now you're being moisef on the oil. Yeah. This is a very interesting give and take over here. Rav Kahana asked the question with Rav Kila Mahu. What's the story with making a canopy? Right. That's what we said it is. Canopy. Amalei af mita assur. He said even to make a bed is assur. So then he said to mita mao, what's the deal with the bed? Amalei af kilo mutaris. Even canopy is muttar. Then he says kilo mita mao. What's the story of making a canopy and a bed? Amalei kilo assuro mita mutaris. The kilo is assur, mita is muttar. So this sounds like extremely confusing here. What's he trying to do? So we say v'loy kasha hada kamar af mita assura kida karmanoi. This that he says the mita is assur. That's when you do it like at the karmanoi, which is a more permanent type of thing. Hada kamar lei af kilo mutaris. This that he said a kilo is mutaris kida Rami bar Yecheskel. That's what Rami bar Yecheskel said, right? Which is where it's one of it is hanging out, one is already tied down, so then the rest is okay. Mita mutaris kidi done, and a mita's mutaris, that's like our beds, right? all he's doing is putting it on the legs, and then that's all he's doing. So therefore, it's going to be okay. So Amar Rav Yosef, Chazina lu lakili debei Rav Huna, the meurta negidu mitzafer chavita ramya. That I saw these canopies of the Bei Rav Huna. At night, it was all set up. The negidu, that was all set up. Mitzafer in the morning, chavita ramya, they knocked it all down. Right? So you see that they obviously are taking apart and putting on, they're setting up and taking apart beds. So therefore, since that's meant to do it, that's the way it's meant to be, so then it's okay. Yeah? A vilon, right? This is now, so this is where it gets much different. You want to put up a sheet. Let's say you have air conditioning, you don't want it to go out of the room, it's very hot. So you want to take you in the doorway, you want to hang up a sheet. Right? Or there's a kiddush and the priestess is getting too much, so you decide you're hanging up a sheet in middle of the room. Right? So you can do that. Vilan muttar and taisa muttar leparka, you can put it up and you can take it down. Why? Right? Why? Because it's not an oil. An oil has to be above your head. This is not above your head. This is in between people. Bamar Shmuel Mashum Rabchia. Kilas chasanim muttar and taisa. A kilo of chasanim, that's also muttar to do. Muttar leparka, and it's also muttar to undo it. Right? Now, the reason that kilas chasanim is muttar is because it's not on 4 posts. Rashi says it's 2 posts in the middle, so it sort of makes a teepee. Right? If anybody learned Masechta Sukkah, Arabin for sure also, but Sukkah, right? It's a teepee. It creates a teepee, so that's not considered like a real oil. Yeah? Some of Shesh's Breder of Edi, we only said this if the roof doesn't have a tefach, meaning it's so slanty that it doesn't have a tefach at the top. If it has the width of a tefach at the top, right? Like this, I guess, the width of a tefach like this, then it's going to be assur, because that's already has a din of an oil. And even if it doesn't have a tefach, that's where it doesn't widen. But if it widens within 3 tvachim, we had this way back when, right? If it widens within 3 tvachim of the top, it widens more than a tefach, right? Then it's also going to be considered an oil.
We had almost the exact opposite of this, no? With a boat.
Oh, it was the boat going the other way. That's it. I couldn't
Yeah.
remember exactly where we had it. Thank you. Right. It was the boat going up. The boat going up. But the same concept, that within 3 tvachim, that's pretty good. You remember that, right? Within 3 tvachim, it's lavud. So even if it's a tefach lower, then it's within 3 tvachim, it's also going to be a problem. That's only on the slant. There wasn't a tefach. Then the slant of an oilim isn't like an oil, and it's going to be a problem, right? It's only if on the meaning, because you have this canopy that goes over the bed, right? So that what happens if it hangs down off the side of the bed by a tefach, right? Right. So if it hangs off the side of a bed of tefach, then it's also going to be considered a tent. If it hangs off the side of the bed, meaning you have the mattress, you have the canopy right above, and then you have the mattress, and then it hangs off the side of the mattress by a tefach, then that's going to be considered also an oil, right?
Why?
What?
Is that good akis?
No. What happens is that the bed, you made the bed now, the mattress now became the cover.
But it always
Oil
was.
should
The
ask
mattress always was an oil.
No, but there was nothing on the wall. There was no walls to the oil. Now, by you hanging it off a tefach, then you're making it into sort of like a clubhouse. I don't know, something like that.
Why? The legs don't get a din of like a tzurus pesach or something?
I guess
like
not.
by
I don't know. I guess not. Right? But what's the obvious question the oilam should ask? If that's the case, how do you ever put on a tablecloth? Right? How do you ever put on a tablecloth on Shabbos if it's hanging off? It's usually hanging off the table by a tefach. So now, why isn't it that you just made an oil arai? So the place can say.
That's why the Mishnah Berurah says you always should put 2 tablecloths on.
Well,
And you
that
take
is
one off,
another.
it's still there.
There's that. Yes. There's another reason. Stam, you're not supposed to have your table without a table. It'll be Kabbalah on Shabbos. But
Well,
I don't
that's the
understand
reason the
because the
Mishnah Berurah
Poskim
actually
base.
brings.
What?
That's the reason the Mishnah Berurah actually mentions. You shouldn't be uncovered. I was just...
Yeah. So, but how do you call it? But so the Poskim say that when you're only doing it, like how come it's not an oil when you unfold a folding table? Right? You just made an oil. So there's nothing hanging off the side. So it seems like when you're doing it to cover something that's under it, that's when you have an oil issue. If you stop opening it because you want to have the things on top, I think we discussed it a couple of weeks ago.
So Yaakov, didn't we talk about a case where you're making a wall and it'll be a similar shiloh? Didn't we have that Taisus where we discussed if you're making a wall, why is that any different? If
You're talking about Chitza Materas?
When we discussed oil before, we had a shiloh. Taisus had a shiloh. It's a machlekes Rashi Taisus. You could make a wall and it's assur out oil. So why would this be any worse than that? If you're putting down a tablecloth, it's not for the purpose of creating a what's it called, an oil.
No, but
it's to make a wall.
How do you understand? So how do you understand it here that you're making an oil when you let this canopy hang off the side of the bed by a tefach? All right, how do we understand that?
In economy, according to Taisus, all these things should be assur. According to Rashi, it's a kasha. Rashi is the one who holds a wall is not considered oil or rye.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Does this mean also, if someone has extra white blankets and they hang over the sides of the bed, is that the same issue?
Yeah, it could be, but there it's not mischaman. You don't have any intention of making anything. Here
you don't either. You want
the canopy hanging down that much, no?
No. You don't care as long as it covers the bed. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. I'm unclear in the sugya here exactly. We'll have it more, so we'll hopefully get it more clear. But it's really unclear exactly when they answer this, when they don't. Okay, so now we get to also weiter to another sugya. V'amar Rav Sheshes breder Rav Idi. Hi siyana shari. So what's a siyana? It's a hat, a felt hat, right? Felteritz. That's a Rashi. The what do you call it? The Laz and Rashi calls it felteritz. So it seems like it's a felt hat. You're allowed to wear a felt hat on Shabbos. Oh, Vitmar Siyana assur. We learned that Siyana is assur. One is where the brim is more than a tefach, and one is where it doesn't have a tefach. Yeah. So now, if you stop right there, so we're saying here that if you have a hat with the brim of a tefach, that is you're not allowed to wear it on Shabbos. Right? It's an oil. You just made an oil. Right? So that's what the Gemara is saying. Right now, that's what the Gemara is saying. Okay, so let's see. If you have a sharviv, I don't know, how do you touch a sharviv? It's a big hat, I think. Right? I'm sorry, sharviv v'glima tefach. If you pull up you're wearing a hood, and you pull it up by a tefach, that you also chayav because you just made an oil. What do you say? You're muted. You're muted.
Like when you put your talus on?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly that. Very good. Right. I don't know why I didn't think about that. Thank you. Right, when you put your talus above your head, it sticks out a tefach. Right? You know the guys that daven with a lot of kavanah, yeah? So they hide their face, they're doing who knows what under there. Right? So those guys, it goes out a tefach. So are they going to be chayav? Obviously they're not chayav, so why should you be chayav if your hat goes out? So we change pshat. We say one is where it's tied on the head, one is where it's not tied on the head. Where it's tied on the head, you were not worried that it's going to blow off. And then you might be chayav outside tzah. But where it's not mahade, that's where it's not mahade. If it's tight, then we're not worried about that. Yeah?
Okay, yeah, I can't resist anymore. What's with today's hats?
Oh, so what's with today's hats? So the answer is the
today's hats are smaller. 3 years ago, bigger.
The truth is nowadays the brims are.
No, I know. I meant the yeshiva.
I know.
It didn't. No, it didn't. That style didn't hit Cleveland yet. That's the shot. Cleveland is still wearing the big hats.
No, it did, but it didn't hit Lakewood yet. That's what I'm getting at.
Anyway, that's right. So there, the place can say that the pshat is that there.
Maybe the mashgichim in Empire wearing big hats, and KJ they don't wear big hats. Maybe that's the problem.
Could be. It could be, and maybe they have feathers too, and they think the feather. I don't know, whatever. But anyway, so the pshat is.
So Yaakov, they're wearing the hats and they don't pull the talesim over their heads.
That's true. That's true. Taka, if they pull the talis over, then it's really going to be spread out of tefa. But the reason why our hats are not an issue is because this is talking about hats where, and the oil might not like what we're going to say now. It's not me saying it though. These hats are not being worn to protect you from the sun. If we would be wearing hats to protect us from the sun, then it would be a problem because it's an oil. But they're not. It's a style.
What about the straw hats? What about the straw hats?
Straw hats is also style. Now, no, it's there for style.
Here, so here you have people who wear hats just for the sun.
No, so what it's with a baseball cap? What's with a baseball? A lot of people wear baseball caps in the street on Shabbos. If you're wearing a baseball cap, and that's a tefach, wearing a baseball cap on Shabbos because you want it to protect you from the sun is really not pashut that's allowed. It's oil. Yeah.
From rain, either way.
From rain, right? As protection.
So wearing a Trump 2020 cap is definitely muttar. It's not protecting you from nothing.
I hear. Very good. Yeah. What about the shields? Those face shields that people are wearing for Corona? And I don't think that goes out of tefach. I don't know.
Right, so how do you pass them?
If somebody asked me if they should wear a baseball, I think I tweeted this out that you should not want. A while ago, I got a lot of flack for it when I tweeted this out a while ago that you should not wear baseball caps on Shabbos. A lot of guys do, people that don't wear black hats, so they'll wear teshula cap. It's sunny.
I wear it when I daven marav on my block, and if it's raining, I'm saying so. I would wear it.
Okay, so then that's not really. It's not pashut. Okay,
it's
so
before it's before I got the tweets,
I hear. Well, now you learned the daf, so. But yeah, it's not pashut. But again, the main shot, the reason why our hats are not an issue is because our hats are there for style and not for anything else. Okay, so now we get into a very interesting Gemara. So,
wouldn't that make it worse?
Somebody saying something?
Yeah.
What? Doctor, you saying can hardly hear you.
When people have a special rain hat that they wear, right? People wear a black hat that's only for rain.
Yeah, but if they normally wear a black hat and they just happen to be wearing a junky black hat,
right? They're not wearing it to protect themselves. They're wearing that one not to ruin their hat.
Right. So they were still wearing it as a style thing. They're just responsible, and they actually have one that's not going to get ruined, right?
Didn't you just make it worse though? If it's Mishum Tayo, isn't that Pashat also Starke Amayri?
The what? What do you say? Is it Darke Amayri?
Yeah.
Why is it Darke Amayri? You're supposed to wear chashav things in Shabbos. You're not supposed to wear a chashav thing. What you want to call it style? You're supposed to wear the Gemara constantly says people wear chashav things on Shabbos.
There is nothing chashav about wearing a black hat. It's all style.
That's not the reason why yeshiva guys wear it.
Well, nowadays it's probably not. In the old, where it started from might be. Where it started from it might be. Nowadays is, I don't know. I can't see any. People ask, are they mechuyev to wear a black hat? I don't know. I have a hard time telling somebody he's mechuyev to wear a black hat. Right? How can you tell somebody he's mechuyev to wear a black hat? You wouldn't go in front of a president nowadays with a hat. Everybody takes it off.
100% not true.
Anyways.
What about a rain cover on top of a hat?
Rain covering on top of a hat is a problem. Without an eruv is a problem because you're doing it to protect the hat, not yourself. If you're doing it to protect your hat and your clothing and not yourself, then that's not allowed, right? We had that. We mentioned it. I think maybe we didn't mention it way back when.
So what about the shayna coats?
Is that considered an oil? Because is that the same problem of oil? Because that's not for style. That is for protection.
What? No, but it's worse. That's you're protecting a hat, so it actually can be considered carrying.
That's what. Yeah, I understand. Yes, but in an Eruv type of situation, wouldn't that be the same question over here?
As an oil, no, because it's going on top of the hat, and the hat's there for style, so it's just there. It becomes bottle. It comes bottle to the hat. The way I understand it, it's bottle to the hat.
Mamanoshach, either it's bottle and you can carry it, or it's not bottle and you can't carry it.
Yeah. Now what about
and it shouldn't be a
coat?
style.
Yeah, the Shana coat.
The Shana coat. The reason I think I'm not sure. The reason why Shana coat's not a problem is because just what the Gemara said. If you're wearing clothing and you pull it over your head with tefach, of course that's not going to be an oil. That's clothing. Same reason why it's not an oil to put a talus over your head. Right? When it's your clothing, yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, the yeshiva guys, the way they dress, look in the modern world now, look just as funny as how Chassidim dress. They're the same funny. They don't look sharp or star. They look funny, just like Chassidim look funny compared to everybody.
100%. Yes, the Goyim you're saying don't.
Slobodka 100 years ago was not stylish. Now they just look funny, just like Chassidim look funny.
100%. You're saying the Goyim can't differentiate between a beaver hat and a regular hat.
Yeah,
right? They care less, right? Yeah. Anochanami. Okay, let's see weiter. Okay, so now Rami bar Yecheskel, Shalach le Rami bar Yecheskel Rav Huna. Rami bar Yecheskel sent to Rav Huna, Emelon easy. Tell us, easy is a lashon of somebody who's good, gishmak, something nice. Hanach mili ma'al yasadam mishmei Rab. Tell us something. Tell us a couple of good things he heard from your Rebbe, right? He came and he said, "No, tell us over a good word." So, Tardi b'Shabbos uchad b'Torah. So he had two dinim in Hilchos Shabbos, and one he had about the Torah. Shalach, that's what he sent them. When they asked him, send us a few good vertelach, and he said, well, he sent them two from Hilchos Shabbos and one from Torah. Other time you're good, the kisna, muttar and toisa b'Shabbos. This that we said that the good with kisna, that's to hang up the bag, right? And you want to hang up the bag on the wall, so that it's muttar. I'm sorry, they're not on the wall. You want to spread it out on Shabbos, right? That's only if two people are doing it. But if one person is spreading, meaning you're spreading this thing out over two, let's say posts or whatever it is, right? You're spreading this. What is it called? A good? How do you touch it? I'm checking it out.
A leather bag.
It's a leather bag. But what are you doing with it? You're spreading it out.
Hanging a leather bag by its straps.
What?
By hanging it
what
by
are you
its
doing
straps.
it for? What?
Rashi said earlier to keep the wine
you want
cool.
the air. You want to keep it open because you want the air to go through to keep the food cool, right? That's what it was. So it's two people. You're not allowed to do it. One person is allowed to do it. Why? Because two people, you're not gonna stretch it so tight. If one guy does it, he's gonna stretch it very tight. It's gonna be more like a steady, permanent thing. Amar Abaya b'kila, filu beis b'nei adam assur, and a kila, a canopy, even with two people is assur. It's not possible that when you're doing it with a canopy that it's not possible that you're going to make it a little bit tight. What's the other case of Shabbos? The Tanya Kirish. If you have an oven, so they had their ovens were on legs. So if an oven that one leg broke off, you're allowed to still carry the oven. Shtayim assur, but two you're not allowed to. Why? Because let's see. The Rav Amar Afilu Chad Nami assur. Even one is assur. Because perhaps you're going to stick it in. You're going to put the leg back. If it's only even one leg is assur, because we're afraid that you're going to stick it in and you're going to stick it in there permanently. Okay, we discussed this. We discussed this a while ago by Muksa. This is why when let's say a classic example is glasses break. So can you use those glasses become muksa because we're afraid that you're going to stick the let's say the arm of your glasses breaks off on Shabbos. So we're afraid that you're going to take that arm and put it back in and look at that. And I have a safety pin right here. You might attach it with a safety pin, right? And then that was not done on purpose. I was trying to get my SIM card out today. But you might do it on purpose to stick it in like that. So anytime one leg breaks, this is the way we paskin like Rav. So if your leg falls out of a table, you're not allowed to put it back because we're afraid that you're going to put it in there permanently. Now, if it's constantly falling out, then that's a different story. We're talking about where it just fell out a little bit. Yeah, fine. I mean, it fell out once. Torah, Dama Rav. This guy will go. I know it's a little late, but let's see. Torah, Dama Rav. I see the Torah should tishtach mi Yisroel. This is good for the 9 days. This Gemara. The Torah is gonna be forgotten from Klal Yisrael. Shenemar v'hifla Hashem es makoisva, and Hashem is gonna give wonders of His makas. Haflazu eni yedei out. We don't know what is this word hafla. I am going to show wonders, very much wondrous things to this nation. So I would say that this hafla is Torah. Yeah, so the meaning that what? So it's this. He's going to show the nation hafla of a fellow that it's going to be, how bad it's going to be with the forgetting of the Torah, right? Meaning because they're going to forget the Torah, and that's how it's going to be so amazing how we forgot the Torah so much. Derabanan. When our Rabbana went into canopy, see the Torah Yisroel. The Torah is going to eventually be forgotten from Yisroel. Is your song of the Daf. We haven't had it for a while. Right? There's going to be days coming, and there's going to be such a hunger, and the hunger is not going to be for food, it's going to be for Torah. I mean, it's going to be so hard to come by Torah. Right? They're going to look for the Dvar Hashem, and they're not going to find it. Dvar Hashem zu halacha, it means halacha. Dvar Hashem zu hakates, that's the end. Dvar Hashem zu nevu, and that's nevu. What is it going to be that they're going to be going around looking to look for the words of Hashem? A woman is going to have a bread of truma, and she's not going to know whether it became tamei or not. She could eat it, so she's going to go around to try and find if it's tamei or tar. Right? And nobody's going to know whether it's Torah or Tamei. There's nobody going to be available or not available. There's nobody that's going to know how to pass in the Shaila. So the Gemara says, what do you mean? It says it beferish in the Torah. Just look it up in the Chumash. That's what Rashi says, which I find very interesting. Because anybody that when they need to look up a halacha goes and looks it up in the Chumash? Right? What are you going to get out of a Chumash? You're a Rabban, you're muted.
Maybe the Goyin used to do that.
Yeah. Right, like Rav Moshe Feinstein used to chazer 18 prokim mishnayos, right, every day. They said, I wonder what through his head when he learned those mishnayos, right? But I can tell you, if I need to look up a halacha, I'm not looking at a chumash because that's very hard to understand. Okay, but that's the Gemara.
Doesn't halacha say mefurish that you're not allowed to learn halacha like that from a chumash?
Correct. That's true. But it seems to be saying that it's not so much, meaning the basic halachas people should know, I guess.
So, Yaakov, first of all, why would a woman be looking to find out about her truma if we're not makbel and tamei anyway?
No, I think it's back. It was back. It's what I mean.
No, the Gemara says case. This is the end of the Galus.
She was a religious. She was a religious lady. What do you want?
No, that's the biggest part of the issue.
You can't eat it either way.
The rabbis.
You can't eat truma nowadays, anyways. What does that mean?
I hear.
Tamei. Everyone's tamei.
So she knew more than the rabbis, and she knew nothing.
Yeah.
What's nevuah? Why are they looking for nevuah? Nevuah is gone after.
That was also one.
Between Bayis and Bayis Sheni.
Everybody's chalashing for nevuah now. Well, that's
right, but why they were chalashing for nevuah since already by the second base of Mikdash.
Yeah. Okay, I guess it's a little late. I guess we have to stop here. We'll take it up tomorrow. Tomorrow's there's a long daf, so tomorrow we'll have to. Yeah. Okay, it's more pashut. It's not as complicated as daf. It's not complicated. It's just with kashas. Yeah. All right. So good enough.
All right. Have a good trip upstate tomorrow.
Yeah.
Night. Yaakov, do you still need that data plan?
I still need a data. I'm trying to figure out what to do. I think I'm just gonna pay for my own T-Mobile or something. I don't know.
When you sign up, call me. Well, tell me what you need.
I know if I sign up. Once I sign up, I do it on my own account.
All right, whatever you want. Let me know.
I don't know. I don't know. You could add me to your account. I have no idea.
Zach, what about prepaid?
Zach, go to pictures.
They
Go to
don't give me
selfies.
unlimited.
Go to selfies.
How much do you need?